Excuses? I have a friend named Martin who is famous for making excuses. Whenever I invite him to do something, he always has a fascinating reason why he cannot come. One day, I asked him to join me for a weekend hike in the mountains. He replied, "Oh, I would love to, but my cat is feeling lonely, and I need to stay home to keep her company." Another time, I invited him to watch a football match at my place. He said, "I have to wash my car because it's covered in pollen, and I have allergies." It seems like no matter what I suggest, Martin always has an excuse ready. Last week, our friends and I planned a trip to the beach. The weather forecast was perfect, and we were excited to spend the day swimming and relaxing in the sun. Naturally, we invited Martin to join us. As usual, he paused for a moment before coming up with a creative explanation. "I'd love to go, but I promised to help my neighbor bake a cake for her nephew's birthday." We all looked at each other, thinking he might be joking, but Martin's face remained completely serious. Despite his constant excuses, Martin is actually a kind and generous person. When he does decide to join us, he brings a lot of energy and fun. The problem is that these moments are rare. Sometimes, I suspect he has a secret hobby he's hiding from everyone, like building robots in his garage or practicing magic tricks in his living room. Whenever I ask him directly, he just shrugs and says, "I'm sorry, man. Life gets complicated." One day, I decided to drop by Martin's house unannounced to see if he was really busy or just avoiding social events. When I arrived, I found him playing video games and eating a large bowl of popcorn. There was no cake, no neighbor, and no sign of any urgent task. I confronted him. "Martin, why do you always make excuses instead of just telling us you don't feel like going out?" He smiled sheepishly and replied, "I guess I'm just not great at saying no. I don't want to disappoint anyone, so I invent these little stories." I told him it would be easier to say he prefers staying in rather than creating wild excuses. He laughed and promised to be more honest in the future. However, the very next week, when we invited him to a barbecue, his response was, "I'd love to come, but my cousin's hamster needs a special diet, and I have to help." We couldn't help but burst out laughing at yet another one of Martin's imaginative excuses. In the end, we accept Martin for who he is. He might always have a funny reason to avoid social gatherings, but he's also a loyal friend who helps us when we really need him. One day, maybe he'll run out of excuses and join us on an adventure. Until then, we'll keep inviting him, hoping he will say yes, and enjoying the creativity of his never-ending explanations.